Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Welcome to our another exciting webinar today. My name is Hurain Zannat. I'm a communication officer in Center on Integrated Rural Development for Asia and the Pacific, CIRDAP. Before moving to our today's webinar, I would like to give a brief description about our organization. CIRDAP is an intergovernmental, regional, and autonomous organization which promotes integrated rural development in the Asia and the Pacific. It was established on 6th July 1979 with the initiative of Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, of the United Nations, and also with the support of countries of the Asia Pacific region and other several UN bodies and donors. We have three policy bodies, three governing bodies, namely Governing Council, GC, Executive Committee, EC, and the Technical Committee, TC. You can see here is our 15 member states in this map, and Bangladesh is the host country. Our headquarters is situated in Dhaka, Bangladesh. And this is the building of CIRDAP headquarters called Chamili House, which was established in British period in 1920. And this building was handed over to CIRDAP by the host country of Bangladesh in 1987. Now I would like to request our Honorable Director General, Dr. Chatsak Birapat, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hurain Janet. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Excellency, respected IRD expert, Dr. Isra, Professor Joeli Veitayaki, our speaker, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of CIRDAP, I have my great honor and pleasure to welcome Professor Joeli Veitayaki, Acting Campus Director of the University of South Pacific, Fiji, and the CIRDAP expert for the webinar series today. Joeli and I are good friends since we both worked for the International Ocean Institute 20 years ago. He has been working in Fiji and especially on the Gau Island for 2 decades now, I think, or more, yes. 3 weeks ago, on 6th July, we just inaugurated the CIRDAP exhibition and museum on integrated rural development in Asia Pacific to showcase the best practices of the CIRDAP member countries' rural development models. And I believe that the model presented today by him will be considered one of the best practices of Fiji, as well as the Pacific Island. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you all to join me to welcome Professor Joeli Veitayaki. Thank you very much. Back to you, Hurain.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now I would like to speak a short description, biography of Dr. Joeli Veitayaki. He's a former acting campus director, USP Samoa campus, University of the South Pacific. He's a trained teacher who obtained his PhD in Environment Management and Development from the National Center of Development Studies at the Australian National University. He's also director of the International Ocean Institute Pacific Islands based at the USP in Suva, is co-chair of the Korea South Pacific Ocean Forum, and is a member of the high-level panel of experts for a sustainable ocean economy assembled by the World Resource Institute in support of the high-level panel on the sustainable ocean economy. He has worked at the USP for 30 years, during which he has collaborated with governments, non-government organizations, development partners, and local communities on the sustainable development. He has managed all or parts of the initiatives of the Lomani Gau local community network in Gau Island in Fiji, which has attracted over 300,000 US dollar. You can go through his profile in our experts.cirdap.org. He has lots of publication over there. You can go through here, and he has contact details over there also. Now, some quick points. We all would like to know where you are joining from. Please drop us your contact details in our chat box. And there will be a question, answer, and discussion session after the webinar. We would like to know about your suggestion and opinion. And also you can drop your questions, suggestions, opinions in our chat box. And humble request to all of you during the webinar, please mute your microphone. You can stay updated about our work, about our activities of CIRDAP through our LinkedIn. You can follow us, our social media, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Also, you can see our initiatives in www.cirdap.org. Thank you. Now, I invite Professor Dr. Joeli Veitayaki to start his presentation. Sir. Professor Veitayaki, are you there, sir?
Can you see the screen now?
No, sir. I have given you the permission to share the screen.
Okay, let me, yeah. No, just need to share the screen. Can you see it now, ma'am? Can you see it now?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Now we see it.
Okay. Good morning, and it's good evening from Fiji. And as you can see on the first picture, I'm talking to you about initiatives on an island that is part of Fiji, and for us, the task is much more demanding. We have to ensure that we look after the land as well as the sea, because in a lot of cases we have ownership rights over both. So that makes the challenge of ensuring sustainability and climate resilience more challenging. But this is an initiative that has been the focus of my research for the majority of the time. I was working as a university lecturer to try and find ways to assist developing countries of the Pacific, which consist of many much smaller islands than the ones I'm talking about, to address the problems that in previous times used to be related only to issues like rural development, but now we have to even look after environment management because of all the problems that we have caused and because of climate change. So it is an honor to address you all, and it is my sincere hope that you'll find the presentation useful and that it will help you in the area that you work in throughout the Asia Pacific region. So Lomani Gau is a phrase that we used to call or refer to the initiative. Ngau is the name of the island. It's the 5th largest island in the Fiji group. So it has mountains, it has lowland areas, and of course coastal habitats like mangroves and eventually the reefs, as shown on that part of the picture. So that's the challenge for people like the communities that live in islands all over the Asia Pacific region. So in this this presentation, I hope to talk about the natural capital. These are the resources that are naturally occurring in islands or in locations wherever we are in the Asia Pacific region that need to be looked after, because a lot of these are being lost as a result of development. Then I spent some time just to go over some of the rural development approaches that we have adopted and attempted over a period of time, or even like over time, because it still is continuing, because we still have not got it right. Then show you some of the state of environment resources as a result of human use of these resources, even in rural areas. Highlight some of the threats that need to be addressed, and that's the point, or relates to the point I mentioned earlier, that makes our work and those of our future generations even more difficult, because they have to address the sins of generations up to us. And lastly, show you some examples of what we had done as a result of our community-based initiative to try and address some of the challenges that we need to address in order to live the kind of lives that we aspire to have in these parts of the Asia Pacific region we dwell in. So these are parts of the natural capital on the island of Ngau. We have evergreen virgin forests with nice clean rivers, no sign of rubbish or plastics, because mostly it's uninhabited in a lot of the places where they exist. Then you have biodiversity. A lot of islanders have not seen the orchid that is shown there, or the beautiful green flower, because they are out in the bushes. Only the scientists that have been up to those places have captured those images, which when shown to people really drew their attention. But in addition, we have rivers, which are the sources of water. Unfortunately, in a lot of our places now, we have water shortages. But in these pictures, the one in this middle photo here shows the riverine vegetation and how it protects the river under flood conditions. So as long as those kinds of riverine trees are in place, the damage caused by the rivers would be minimal. And I will show you pictures later of what happens when those kinds of vegetative cover are removed. Last on the upper level of photos is a mangrove forest, all on the island. The bird is an endemic bird found only on the island. Unfortunately, as you can already guess, it's already endangered. It's the Fiji petrel, a very special bird because it lives in the sea, but it breeds on land, not in nests on top of trees, but it actually dig burrows, quite complex burrow system, and in there all the chicks that come out of that burrow will return to it to give life to newborns after living in the sea most of their life. And of course, the last picture shows an example from a protected area when humans is better managed, like in this case, having a protected area, nature does respond in amazing ways. That brings to mind the point to talk to you about or to explain right now is that in a lot of Pacific Island cultures, no take or tambu, as we call them, periods of prohibition, these are traditional practices. A lot of us knew of those kinds of arrangement well before we went to school. So that's something to remember, that our people, even in those rural communities, they have resource management practices that they have learned from their elders. Now to some of the rural development approaches that have shaped rural development over the years. We'll start with modernization. The aim mostly was to transform traditional societies into modern cash-based ones, using often Western methods and expertise, and of course their capital. So a lot of areas were cleared up. There were promotion of people to leave their villages to go live in leased land and plant commercial crops. That was that era. Then they learned that the process was not benefiting everybody. There were still a lot of rural dwellers who did not have the resources to send their children to school. So they brought in the next approach, the integrated rural development approach. In this case, the aim was to have this coordinated approach to address rural poverty and related problems. So that was the focus, to continue with rural development, but to ensure that it is an integrated process, that you try and provide for the needs of all of the people in rural areas. That too did not work too well, so then we transited to the next approach. Some people refer to it as the needs-based management. In this case, the emphasis was just on securing basic human requirements such as food, shelter, clothing, employment, and security through economic development. So in this under this arrangement, economic development was still to be pursued, but a little bit more consideration to how the economic pie gets divided, so that there is allocation for food, shelter, clothing, ensuring employment and security. Well, that also did not work as expected, and so we then transited to sustainable development. Today, sustainable development means a lot of things to different people, but basically, for sustainable development, the emphasis was to pursue economic development and social and political and ecological development all at once. So you pursue all of these sometimes or many times conflicting goals of having economic, social, and political and ecological development all balanced. And on top of that, the approach stresses intra and intergenerational equity. Of course, gender, local participation, empowerment were all emphasized as part of the process. Well, sustainable development has now been around for decades, and even that has not helped alleviate, or we have not really attained the level of sustainability that we would want. We still are continuing to lose biodiversity. Our resources are getting depleted. And so the next approach that was proposed was that we try this new method referred to as ecosystem-based management, so that we should manage something like we are trying to do on now, which is to cover the process from the forests, or it is often commonly known ridge to reef approach, that you cover the ecological costs of all the kinds of activities that take place in a place, thinking about the impact to the ecosystem as a whole. And of course, in recent times, we're beginning to hear more of green and blue growth, that we need to have growth, but it now must be green and blue. I think green refers to having that kind of desired growth on land, and blue for doing the same thing when dealing with ocean resources. So those are basically the kinds of approaches that have shaped rural development in the Asia Pacific region over the last, I think, getting over half a decade, half a century now, maybe longer. But we move on now to the next section, just to show you some of the state of environment resources on an island like Ngau in Fiji. So you have in these pictures a sign that native trees have been removed and are now replaced by vines and areas of secondary growth. In some of these areas, you have wildfires that seem to have extended the areas that are no longer under trees. And as you can see, it goes from this hill, there's a patch of forest in between, and then goes on to the other areas that are already in a category where they can easily get burnt. The end result, of course, when the native trees are removed, you have landscape such as this that are affected by erosion, landslides. This I showed you earlier in the presentation, an area where the riverine trees were protecting the river. This is an area where those kinds of riverine protection have been removed, and look, the result is that the river now has this impact of spewing its load of gravel and rocks, boulders, wherever it wants to take them. The second or the middle picture on that bottom row shows just a recent case where these men are sitting in now a pile of gravel and rocks. That was somebody's taro garden just before that flood. Of course, on the coast, you see the impacts of coastal erosion damaging or causing the destruction of coastal vegetative forest, this time made up of coconut palm trees. The last of the, in this set of pictures, you have the impacts of rising seas on coastal villages. You have, in this case, every time the high tide takes place, and if there's strong winds, the owner of this house would, I think, move somewhere else. In this case, there's a seawall, but seawalls don't last. Eventually, they fall apart. The picture, the last of the picture on that row, shows a tombstone. Somebody's grave is now out at into the sand flat, where it is periodically covered by salt water. This bottom picture shows of the result of a coastal development, in this case to build a jetty. But in order to put up the machines to drive in the piles, they had to do this, create this structure. Nobody worried about what happens in the water. In this case, this giant clam has to be on its side to avoid being suffocated by the sediments coming from that coastal development. Ghost fishing also takes place in coastal waters because of people discarding their nets, their used gill nets, carelessly. Sometimes they throw them back into the sea. Those kinds of non-filament materials will continue to catch fish. The problem is that nobody will be utilizing the catch because the net is not owned. The pile of fish that you can see on the bottom picture shows the result of a fish drive. Pacific Islanders have this customary fishing methods, very efficient, but also quite damaging to the reefs because people walk their way from the reef edge to the coast in order to direct or to chase this fish in an orderly manner towards the coast, and then catch them in clear spots because the tide, by the time they get there, is already out. So it's a very efficient fishing method, but very destructive. Beach steamer is very valuable in the markets in Asia. Some of these beach steamer are being sourced from the Pacific, but you can see the impact. Some of those little ones are not spared by those that harvesting this animal. Lastly, these are wastes that a non-government group that used to camp on the island, they have refused to throw this non-biodegradable waste into Ngau. So they have put them in sacks and then paid for the fare to transport the waste back to the major town where it can be put in the landfill. Just to show the islanders that the visitors on the island were looking after the island much better than the owners. The next section talks about the threats that we need to address. Weak and poor governance. Resource management is not about us managing resources. I think the resources can take care of themselves. It's us humans managing ourselves, and that is something that needs to be addressed much more. We need to have better governance, particularly in terms of regulating the way we utilize the natural resources freely given to us by nature. The second issue, we're now battling invasive alien species of all kinds, plants, animals, and big ones, and insects, and the like. Food sources are being used as sources of income. For instance, fish. A lot of us that live in islands have fish as our main source of protein, but with the arrival of the market, a lot of valuable fish commodities are being taken to the market and to earn money, and that money is then used to buy much cheaper but less nutritious alternatives. Damage to watersheds and water sources because of development. We now have good houses in villages, but the water management is now a challenge in a lot of places because through agriculture, there's been deforestation. Sometimes even the watershed is not spared. And as a result, water becomes water supply is reduced greatly, and so there's a problem with water supply. So in some cases, communities have the luxury of having plenty water sources, but in others, particularly in the drier parts of places, often that becomes a big problem. So people live in good houses with flush toilets, but can't use these toilets because there is no water. Unsustainable resource use. Just showed, I was talking to you about beach timber. It is so priced. So when people go out to fish, they get all that they can see. As a result of that kind of practice, some of the governments in the Pacific are beginning to have a total ban on the harvest of the animal because they worry about the extinction of this or the disappearance of these animals from some of the fishing grounds. Rural development activities is also not helped because, as I was saying, with the desire for better housing for everyone in the communities, often that is pursued single-mindedly. People don't think about the protection of watershed as they try to maximize income from farming. In other places or in other cases, rural development has resulted in infrastructure being put in place that have now caused flooding in some of the villages. In some cases, in Fiji, where the government has now identified the villages that need to be relocated. In some cases, the problem is caused by the infrastructural development as a result of rural development, the need to provide roads in rural areas. Lastly, is also a very big problem, sewage and waste management. A lot of people in rural areas still use septic tanks. Some have no septic tanks, but they have their drainage pipe go directly to the sea. These problems are going to worsen in years to come. All kinds of wastes are now entering into rural areas. Non-biodegradable waste are now filling up some places in the Pacific because of the smallness of the islands. This picture here shows one of the villages on the island of Ngau that is earmarked for relocation. Their problem is flooding because, as you can see, if you look clearly, the village is on a knoll and it's surrounded by all these low areas. Once the river, which is on this side, on the right side here, where the connects to that channel through the mangrove, which is the river, when that gets blocked by debris that comes down with flood waters, the water then backs up, and because there's a highland over here, it then backs up back along the river and then move towards the left and then come around the village and then enter into the village from the left side. So my left side. So that's the problem with rural development and poor planning. Okay, so this is a representation of I really like, and I try to promote. This was first proposed by an organization in Fiji, intergovernmental organization in the Pacific, the Pacific Islands Development Forum. And their argument was that at the moment we are pursuing sustainable development, and that requires us to balance environment, society, and economy considerations. But if you look, it's where these different circles pop out. That's where things still being done with those circles being emphasized, wherever the circle is emphasized more. Sustainability, which may happen just within that little intersection that is in the middle. So the discussion then is that we should be greening or bluing the growth approach that we adopt and come to a new representation of how sustainability can be attained. And that is to understand that environment resources is what supports everything, including human society. So it should be the environment given the first consideration, society that is supposed to be dependent on the environment and owns the economy. And then the economy, of course, should be the very last thing that is given less weight than the society before that, and then the environment. That is the proposal that I think I would like to leave with you today, and hopefully get you to comment on, because I feel that that is the way we should have environment to be the basis of all kinds of developments that we take, and then society then decides on what level of emphasis it gives to the economy. On articulating sustainable island development over the years, with all the kinds of trial and error and little projects that we have done, we've come to a list. It includes establishing effective governance at all levels, from the village, from households. Our farmers and our fishers need to work towards a common goal, on ensuring that the environment that we all depend on is given the priority. We need to organize relevant training and capacity building to make sure that best practices are being shared quickly, and that we don't have to start from scratch every time. We need to formulate appropriate sustainable development plans and guidelines. We need to be a little bit more clearer in terms of what it is we want out of the environment from the kinds of uses that we allow to take place. We need to protect water catchment to ensure the provision of safe water. At the moment, a lot of the water sources are now no longer used because they have been polluted. We thank people that came up with the idea of bottled water, because in a lot of places we go to today, we can't drink water from the tap. The same is the case in a lot of rural areas. Some of the water that people are taking are not very good because they are downstream from farms that are operating upstream. Need to reduce habitat change. We need to ensure that our mangroves, our wetlands, our forests, our grasslands, these are being looked after, because they are important for the proper functioning of the ecosystem. We need to control and better manage the invasive alien species. And in places where invasive species are, I think the best solution would be to find useful use for this species. We need to promote organic products to try and ensure that people are not hooked onto the use of chemicals. For the majority of people, they don't really know what is in the chemicals and how damaging it can be until somebody drinks it and dies. We need to mainstream waste management, because we can't pollute the very source of our livelihood, and that is our environment. We need to implement disaster risk reduction measures, because these natural extreme events are becoming more and more regular. We need to be better prepared for this. We need to establish and strengthen institutions to guide us with the actions that we need to take, the knowledge we need to have, the research that needs to be undertaken, and of course the support that can be given. Encourage the partnerships and collaboration, and I'm thankful to organizations like CPED and collaborations, because they are critical. You need to secure new sources of livelihood. You need to promote traditional knowledge, because traditional communities have always lived in their communities. They should be amongst the best to know what happens and where things can be done. We need to protect the island natural forest, the riverine, and of course the marine habitats, as I had alluded to earlier. So the rest of the just wanted to show some pictures of community initiatives, the involvement of elders, because they are often the ones that make decisions. But as you can see from this last picture, I insist that the meetings need to be balanced between males and females, elders and youth, because we all have a role to play. That is what is important. So in this case, these are images from workshops and training and meetings that we offer in communities. These are some of the nature-based solutions for sustainability that people have come up with as a result of our discussions and our training. In this case, as you can see, this is a fairly flat village. Water is an issue. So the drain in the village was as wide as the brown part. When I told them that they need to do something with that drain, they said, "Well, can you give us? Can you help us get some V drains?" And I said, "Well, we don't. Do you have the money? I don't think you have the money to pay." And that's something else. That's another problem that we often have to look for solutions that require money. In this case, I said to them that yeah, it'll take a long time for us to secure the funds, but if they can do whatever they can, maybe would be better. So the next visit to the village, they were very proud to show me that they have used their own method. They've collected the rocks, and here was a nice enough drain to allow the water not to expand to wherever it extend to wherever it wants. The same thing with their pigsty. They wanted concrete blocks to build the pen, and I said, it's going to cost you money. So again, There are local solutions if people are allowed to think beyond the normal thing where people wait for development assistance to do something that they often cannot maintain after a while because the materials cost money and they come from somewhere else. And here is a waste management pit. Sorting has been done, so only the non-biodegradables go into the pit, so that does not get the pit filled up quickly. The non-biodegradables go in there. The biodegradables go back to the environment where they would return to be part of the system. Composting toilet where water is not used, particularly in places where water is in short supply. No need for waste, no need for digging into the ground. I can use the kind of bins that are now available. So there is no pollution. Once the bin is filled up, there's a replacement that gets put in, and the other one is given the time to biodegrade naturally. Or the settlement was actually eroding, as you can see in this rather blur picture. So it's a rocky shore. So the advice was to have them build a structure like what they used to have for their fishing in the past, but this time to have it faced outward rather than landward, so that it imitates a reef. And that was done by them. So it's fairly a long structure. We started it from that point and tried to cover the whole front of the village. At high tide, it is totally underwater. And this is the sand. 10 years after the structure was put in, there's a lot of sand. So people have now replanted coconut trees, and other trees have grown naturally to consolidate the land that is, or the sand. In this village, people planted mangroves. Over the years, I used to take, as a mentoring aid, take photos from the same spot. So you can see the amount of sand that has been accumulated by that mangrove when it was that size. The picture on the bottom is that same mangrove forest with that is now withstood its first hurricane. The proof that was the crossing when the mangrove was planted, about 2 years, 1 to 2 years after the thing was planted. It got swept away by that storm, and so the villagers built the traditional crossing made of coconut trunks. So that's a demonstration of the kind of change that the maintenance of mangroves on coastline can do. So we're talking about this village. It's called Malawai. Yeah, that mangrove area is planted on this side of the river. This is the picture today of that same village. So this big mangrove patch over here, which now has covered the coast on this end, is now covering that part of the coast. The villages have continued to plant trees along the coastline, more mangroves that side, more trees on the land to protect the river. So because I worked in all of the 16 villages, this is the situation, the photo of for rehabilitation of coastal vegetation in another village up along the coast. This is the illustration of income sources. People have short-term This is watermelon being grown. There's kava, the dried root, and the stems in bags of Pipomethysticum, the traditional customary drink throughout the Pacific. That's the dried copra, and of course sandalwood, a long-term source of livelihood. Our ancestors, or our parents, our fathers and uncles, in their time had planted this pine forest, so it should be about 40, 50 years old now. But they planted them in areas that had degraded vegetative cover. But an interesting thing has happened. These pine trees, after about 30 years, have changed the condition in this area. So people can now plant cover, that Pipomethysticum, right in the middle of this pine forest that is now growing in areas that used to be so poor, cannot be used for anything. And the pine trees are occasionally being milled to provide local source of timber. Our parents, our ancestors invented this multi-cropping system, where in a piece of land you try and plant as many things all together. In this case, as you can see from the drain, there's water, so drainage has to be maintained. But in there is taro, colocasia, and sculata. There's taro and other vegetables, pineapple, all planted in one plot. For them, multi-cropping was a form of resilience, to make sure that if a crop fails, there would be other sources to rely on. We have received some development assistance from the partners. That's what we had said earlier about the money that we've secured. Because we have planted trees, we've now secured, thanks to JICA, a sawmill, mobile sawmill that can be used to harvest planted or plantation forests. We're not going to try and encourage milling of indigenous forest. We just try and at least for the use of this machine, harvest plantation forest. We are now promoting the use of solar. This is a cooking structure. We call it smokeless stove, but of course there will always be smoke when there is fire. But it has to be channeled out of the cooking area, so that the women or the girls that often do the cooking are not forced to smoke freely because of the smoke in the kitchen. The idea is quite simple. If the heat is properly or is better protected, the loss would be less, and so you would use less firewood. We're now supporting community-based small-scale development activities. For those, we ask them to write proposals, and if it is viable enough, we support cattle farming in a village, a big pig pen for another village, a canteen for yet another village, to trial the proposals that these villages claim they can deliver on. We've focused on each village rehabilitating and reforesting its own coastal areas because of the advancing seas as a result of higher sea level. So people are now planting coconuts as long-term source of income, mahogany, future timber sources, and then we have pandanus, which is used for weaving of mats. Our women weave mats that we now sell to get income to to send back to these communities out in the islands. In the marine environment, we've supported having these kinds of experiments to show this. In this case, this is a fish aggregation device made basically out of woven rope. After being in the sea for about a week or two, the algae has grown on the rope, and then it attracts grazers. And when the grazers are there, the carnivores would follow. In this case, beach dimmer was being picked from wherever they are in the fishing ground and put together to enhance breeding, monitoring, and of course enhance the management, so that only the sizes that are deemed big enough can then be harvested if that is needed. Seaweed farming has also been taken up as an alternative source of livelihood, but people then pleasantly found out that when they're managing their seaweed farm, they can always have a net or a fishing line somewhere close there, because some fish get attracted to this new addition to their habitats, and they become good for the fishermen or fisherwoman. This is seaweed being dried. Unfortunately, the supply in Fiji has not been high enough to get us to get to the next level. So the trade in seaweed farming has not been as stable as one would like, but it certainly is good in terms of providing some form of positive intervention to the marine environment. We have been very fortunate in having had some long-term support from Japanese universities and JICA. They've provided us with technical advices, with funding. In this case, they funded this agricultural show for, I think, a number of years to promote agricultural productivity on the island. I want to finish by just showing you that the reason why I've taken early retirement is I want to go and spend the rest of my working life developing this demonstration center, because all of those examples that I've shown you and more are in different places, and in a rural setting like the one I work in, people don't really see the connections of the kinds of demonstrations that were being put in the different places around the island. As I said, the island is the 5th largest in the group. So my idea is to now try and put all of these activities. Well, in fact, I want the demonstration center to be a place where we can demonstrate for the use and the benefit of all of the islanders good practices. And I've been fortunate because of my connection with the universities. I've had some postgraduate students from Europe shown in here, from Japan. In fact, I'm expecting my newest overseas student or partner to come on the 1st of August. But you can see the commitment from the local communities, youth, women, all putting in the effort to have the center up. Now we're trying to demonstrate some of the good farming practices to challenge some of the long-standing traditions that we have now come to learn through agricultural research that are not good for the land and not good for the environment. So the demonstration center is to try and demonstrate all kinds of things that we think is good in this case, the building when it started was just open. It was just a roof and a bit of roofing iron to protect the machinery, but the rest was just was open. Since we are there to live now, we've now put in walls, but instead of using wood or concrete, which cost a lot of money, we are using bamboo, and they've borrowed the slide design from Japan. So we now have sliding doors, and it's raising a lot of interest to the islanders. So those are basically the kind of I have, as Urain had said at the beginning, I've written a lot of reports, and I hope that is my way of sharing the kind of things that we're trying to do. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Joeli Veitayaki. I found that your presentation very excellent, and you have brought us all to tour your Gau Island. I never been to Fiji. You know, I work with you for more than. Now I can see the Gau Island in many aspects, environment and community and activities, as well as many impact on local environment. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to start asking the participants if you have any questions, any comments, any suggestion. You have about half an hour, quite a good time to ask any question. So please, you can ask directly, or you can write in the chat box. And the moderator, Ms. Huren Janet, will kindly facilitate also question and answer. Thank you. Please. If not yet question, I have two questions shortly. Professor Joeli, do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the first one, your title is related to climate change adaptation and community.
Yes.
But you did not say anything about climate change adaptation at all. In addition to your major threats to community and environment, you did not mention about climate change adaptation as well as related disaster that impact on the island, because this may pose more threats on that. Secondly, you know that the Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development, National Disaster Management, is the CIRDAP contact and member in Fiji. And I believe that this ministry has important role to play for the Gau Island. So I'd like to know also how the ministry been supporting to you and to the community in protecting management on this island. So these two questions first, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chezek. Climate change is, or climate change adaptation is a part of all of those things that I had shown with the protection of forests, the replanting of coastal vegetative vegetation, the protection of riverine riverine the vegetation and the rehabilitation of the rivers that no longer have those kinds of riverine vegetative cover anymore. So the adaptation to climate change is inbuilt into the activities that we are doing. The issue of water with the better protection of the catchment. Often we are requiring that people now consider declaring reserves on their catchment. For them, in a funny way, or it's like it's quite difficult to talk to them about the signs of climate change, but we are trying to address the adaptive features in ways that are much more relevant to them. So when we were planting those mangrove forests that I showed in the picture, it was the ladies that planted those mangroves, and our discussion began because I had told them I used to see some mangroves on that part of that river, or the river mouth, and they said, well, we uprooted them because they interfere with our fishing. So I said, well, if you continue to uproot mangroves, eventually you will have no fish because the mangroves fishes will go somewhere else. So they then planted that mangrove that is now established today. So yeah, basically to cut it short, the adaptation of climate change for us is inbuilt into those activities that make more sense to the local communities. Can you just tell me what the ministry that is connected to CPEC? Dr. Chesek, for the second question?
The second question, the Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development and the National Disaster Management, which is based in Suva, your capital.
Yes.
This is the ministry of our member country. And I know that they have role to play to support the Gau management as well. So do you know anything about them, and have you been coordinating with them?
I coordinate with them, but with their offices on the island. Mostly the senior most government officer on the island is the district officer on the island of Ngau. So she is the one that is informed of what we are doing in the island and of what we are trying to do. We try and government, the Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development, they assist the villages individually, like different villages get assistance from the ministry. But for us, we're just a network of all of the villages trying to. You may remember in one of those pictures, the young men were building the seawall. So often the ministry would provide the concrete, and then the villages would put it up for themselves. So yes, we do work together, and we continue to hope that we can continue with the collaboration.
I just want to know, because when I mentioned about the climate change impact and related disasters, I understand that you also have incoming threat on the sea level rise and frequent storm, as well as rainfall pattern change that may affect a kind of agricultural production on the Gau Island as well. And how when you mentioned about also for water, the irrigation, I don't know. I understand that you have about 3,000 people, right, on the Gau Island.
Yes, yes,
3,000, yes.
yes,
So
yes.
their occupation are mainly fishing, maybe, and
Farming.
obtaining, yeah.
Yes,
How about agriculture? Agriculture, and you have also the seaweed, right? Seaweed farming.
yes, yes.
That is the new initiative. This is the
Ye-
initiative, and so seaweed. Okay, that is good. But for agriculture, do you have any cropping that affected by this kind of climate change, rainfall pattern, and things like that?
At the moment, they do mention that like Fijians have this traditional calendar
Mm-hmm.
that guide their farming activities. People are
Yes.
beginning to mention the fact that there are like some mismatch.
Okay.
That
Okay. Mismatch.
like the knowledge and the time period when they're supposed to start planting
Mm-hmm.
sometimes now does not match with the good for farming. And on the other side,
Okay.
when it is time to harvest certain crops, because that was the expectation, uh, things are not working according to the schedule that they have according to the traditional calendar that people use. So
Okay.
do they are beginning to understand the issue. The I suppose the most powerful way to describe or to discuss climate change impacts with people is reflected in the coastline. When people talk about higher sea levels, uh, the destruction of storms during strong winds, people relate that very much to climate change. But uh, things are beginning to uh, to change because I've noticed that in some of the places, some of the villages, people are now willingly moving their their housing or their houses, if they are building permanent houses, to places further from the coast rather than be close to it.
Uh, how about electricity?
There is no electricity on the island.
You have, yeah,
We only
yes.
have generators in different villages. Uh, a few of them are now transiting to solar, but it's only for lights. For the
Okay.
solar, most of the thing is just, and that's provided by government assistance, uh, mostly for light. So one of the things I'm thinking about now, or actually I'm working on it to try and negotiate and have a solar in the demonstration center, but to use a system that would allow them to do other things with the solar power.
Okay. Solar power, yes. Okay. I think that maybe somebody have dropped the question already. So,
Yes, sir. So
Miss
before that,
Janet, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, Professor Joeli, could you please stop your share the PDF? So,
Stop it.
okay. And our Professor Dr. Hussein Shahbaz raised his hand. He is from Iran, Sfida. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir.
Can you see me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can talk now, sir.
Okay. Okay. First of all, let me thank CIRDAP, Honorable DG, Dr. Chertsak, for organizing such a important webinars. And also I would like to congratulate for the CIRDAP colleagues and members for the 34th anniversary of CIRDAP Foundation Day. And I'm also honored to inform all participants that 2 weeks back on 5th July, we had a MOU with CIRDAP for the joint collaboration. So let's come back to the presentation, Professor Joeli. Maybe Professor Joeli, you can see in my behind that there is a mat from the Fiji. I was in, I think, 2013 in Fiji for organizing a HLP training program there through CIRDAP. That time I was the director of the pilot project division CIRDAP. I remember that CIRDAP, this Fiji joined CIRDAP in 2010. We had a second minister meeting in 2009, and in that meeting, Fiji requested CIRDAP to be the member of the CIRDAP. And we really happy to have one more country as a member of the CIRDAP. So your presentation, it was excellent. Thank you very much for sharing this such a important program with us. And I'm so happy to know that this local materials used for the rural development, specifically for the adaptation in climate change. I could see that in the riverside, they use the rocks and also this other materials in wood, timbers, as you told that, you explained. And it is excellent to know that these communities are familiar to use the local materials. It is a good examples, I think. And it was also amazing to me that this non-gradable waste management, they are digging and just putting underground for the non-degradable. Maybe later, so there are some other systems to manage the non-degradable waste. I'm here to help you because just now I'm the advisor for the Basel and Stockholm conventions. You know, they are the conventions to talk about the waste management. I will be happy if there is some help from my side. About the demonstration center, it is excellent that this excellent idea. And I remember that this when I just traveled to Fiji. So that time I think the minister, as this Dr. Chair told that this CIRDAP link minister is the rural and maritime and what is it, disaster management ministry. That time was His Excellency, I think, Inla. So he received us very well there, and just we could also see some demonstration centers. But what I wanted to propose you here, that you know that this HLP, that CIRDAP CIRDAP is the member of this HLP group in Bangladesh, so can bring some instruments to bring the people to share their good practices in the community level, in the rural level. You know that all the people, they have the experiences to deal with their problems, to deal with their disasters. So they are easily accessible, but they don't know how to share, whether it is the good practices or not. So in HLP, which is the process to find and locate these kind of good practices, to bring all these practice makers to a center to share with the others as a horizontal level, not in the vertical level. So it means that the farmers can learn from each other better than professors come from the university to teach them, because they can understand their languages, they can understand their, problems, they can understand their culture, so they can learn easily better from each other. So because of that horizontal learning process or program, as you can call it, HLP, we call it. So it is an important instrument to bring, to select, to choose all that is good practices, success stories, to bring in your demonstration center and to share with the others who they need. This is my proposal to you that CIRDAP can also arrange. I think I'm so sorry that I'm talking on behalf of CIRDAP, because before CIRDAP could share this HLP in 7 countries. I'm also the member of the HLP convention. We can support you to again train your people on HLP process, and we through the online system, through the CIRDAP. In fact, in Bangladesh is a mainland for the promoting the HLP. So they have a very good success stories to be shared with the Fiji. These are my proposal, but small questions come to me that in your title, that I could see that your title at the end has a question mark. That's you told that a model for the Pacific and question mark. It means that you have a doubt on your model, or what is your question mark means there? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sen. It's a pleasure to know that you have been to Fiji and know what I'm referring to, and we certainly would be very happy to participate in having this HLP process. So, because I firmly believe in what you had said, that people do learn best from each other, and the whole idea of having the demonstration center is, if we can put in place some of these good ideas in one location, then it will be easier for people to say, oh, we can also do it this other way. They do it this other way in this place. So the discussions can go on from there. The understand, or the attempt to address at the demonstration center is basically to promote the ideas that will then cause people to ask questions about their own situation, and hopefully go find a solution that works best for them. For the so we certainly would be contacting you and through Huren to see how we can proceed with this process of having access to this system, and of course with Dr. Chesek, the Honorable Director General. The other point about the title of the paper, the Pacific also has multiple multi-layered environments, communities. So I can only propose the proposal from Fiji and what I think has been working well for Ngau, that it may be worth people's while to listen and to read about what we are doing, but at the final end, at the end of the journey, it will be up to people in those other areas to ask the question, is this relevant for us? So basically to emphasize the point that there is no one solution to all of the world's ills. Whatever works in Fiji may not work in other parts of the Pacific. So that was the reason for it's something that if it is worth their while, they're more than happy to carry on with it. But if not, it maybe is for places just like the one that I'm working with in Fiji.
Excellent, excellent. But when I was there, I could understand that the Fiji, that is based on the UNDP, there are 5 kind of capitals. One of them is the natural resources, and another one is the social resources. I'm just very much what you say considered that the naturally and socially Fiji is so rich, and you can impact on your poverty. So there is actually a presentation from my side that the zero poverty, which you can use the capitals to make the poverty zero, and the 2 main capitals that they are what you say important to make your poverty zero are natural resources and social resources, which you are so rich on it. Thank you very much. I appreciate your presentation, and I will be available through CIRDAP and Dr. Chertsak. We will be so happy to collaborate and share what we also have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
We will going to take 2 more questions. One questions from our friend Philippine. It said, are the local communities affected by climate change in Fiji able to use maps to determine agricultural areas that are naturally suitable to particular crops, taking into consideration soil properties, elevation, slope, rainfall pattern, temperature, and climate-induced multi-hazards? Sir.
I would say yes, that is the case. They can people can attest to the fact that climate is changing, and I think I'd mentioned to answer Dr. Cherzak's question that people throughout the Pacific have learned from their ancestors the times for the different activities. They often are connected to the behavior of plants and of birds, and of course the sun and the moon. But a lot of these are now being it's harder to follow the system as it is now. So, but in terms of mapping, I think that is not happening yet. It's something that would require a lot more scientific input. But people do have of course it's a practice in Fiji that a farmer may have not one but a number of gardens. So there could be a garden in the wetland, there could be a garden on the lower land but dry, and different crops are planted in those different areas. Then they would have fruit trees like breadfruit being planted. That breadfruit belongs to the owner wherever it is. So The owner may have changed the place where he now has his garden, but the breadfruit tree he planted will always be his. So these are the kinds of things. So I suppose that has given me, as I was listening to the question, some we should collect in some of our meetings just a diagrammatic representation of where people have their different gardens. And I think maybe this process of HLP that Hossein talked about may be very useful for that kind of process to make sure that, and I think it can easily be done because, as I said, if we map where people have these different gardens, we can then have an understanding of the kind of crops that are in those different gardens and of the conditions. I think it's a very nice question.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have with us our IRD expert, Dr. Mohammad Ishra.
Huren,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Huren, before the next question, I'd like to intervene.
Okay, sir.
Because Dr. Chabasi has mentioned about us. And so first, I'd like to request Professor Veitayaki. The first thing that we would like to obtain from you is the poster, 2 pages poster. I think it's about 90 centimeter time 1.2 centimeter, 1.2 meters. We want you to explain the community-based activity action on the Gau Island with photograph, approaches, and outcome, so that we could exhibit this poster in our exhibition hall. At the moment, we do not have Fiji. So we would like to obtain from you 2 posters from what you present. And then we will present it to the ministry in Fiji and obtain their acceptance to exhibit in the exhibition. That is the first one. The second one, because we have a team of excellence, and you are one of the excellent team of excellence of CIRDAP, the expert database. And we cover a variety of expertise, you know. We may cooperate with SFIDA to organize some kind of workshop, site visit on Gau Island with you, bringing maybe a few of the experts to be with you and help you planning on what are still gaps. That may be planned for next year. But you have to tell us how are we going to less local funding, because traveling to Fiji is very expensive. And let's say we have 5 experts, bringing IRD expert, Dr. Isra. We can have Professor Wong Popo and Safida. I can attend this also tour to be there, and maybe one more to go to Fiji. But we need to get some financial support, and we could plan ahead of time and be able to work with you for because going to Fiji 1 or 2 days is not economy. So we need to be with you maybe 5 days, you know. Okay, so I have only two issue to raise. Thank you. Back to you, Warren.
Can I ask a question, Dr. Chezek? I've provided the 2 posters to Hurain.
Yes, sir. Sir, the posters with us already.
Or do you want it for this one just to be based on this lecture?
If you can share with us another poster based on your lecture, that would be great also, sir. But we have the posters.
Are they the same? Are they the same poster? The same subject?
Same subject, sir. Subjects are same.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So you can check and maybe let me know, Dr. Chezek.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So our Professor Dr. Mohammad Ishra wants to say something, sir. Can you turn off your? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hurrain, and thank you, Director General CIRDAP, Dr. Sersek Verapat, Dr. Joeli, for a nice presentation. Hussein, Shabazz, Sefda. I really appreciate the concepts which Dr. Joey presented today on the management of forest, then the management of livestock, organic farming, and then fisheries management, as well as seaweed management, and the raising of many crops just to ensure the food security. I'm wondering that how all these activities are being carried out in Fiji, Gau Island. Either it's the individual effort of the farmers or community-based activities are carried out, because Doctor also mentioned that basically they are going for the installation of the plastic bins to collect the waste, either biodegradable or non-biodegradable, and then it's disposed of and it's failed. So it's either carried out by the individuals or by the community leaders. Is there any arrangement with the Ministry of Local Government and Maritime? So this is my question, and I really appreciate the presentation which you made. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Prof. So, if I understand it correctly, most of the activities are done by at the level of households in the rural areas. There are no civic authorities, so issues like waste management, that is basically up to the individuals. The often leftover food and food cuttings, these are fed to the animals, their pigs, and for the worry now is for the non-biodegradable waste, because things are increasing, even with roofing iron, glass, old machines that have found their way to the island are now occupying space and coastal areas, because these wastes are not going anywhere soon, and they are not being looked after by any authority. So it is a worry for me. This issue of solar. This is why I had mentioned that I'm trying to look for solar providers that actually would offer after sale care service, because I'm beginning to see old batteries and panels, because they've just purchased the ones out of the shops. So whenever it malfunctions, then it gets thrown away somewhere in the environment. There's a worry that eventually a lot of this kind of the more destructive kind of waste will find their way into the environment. And at the moment, there is no way to gather the kind of waste to dispose of them in a place that is safer than the environment itself. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Actually, we are at the end of our time. So if you have more questions, you can directly send us so we can pass it to our honorable speaker, or also you can directly send email to him. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rain, and thanks to everybody. Dr. Chesek.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we
Thank you.
need your PowerPoint also, right?
Yeah,
Yes, it is
To
with
be- Yeah. Put in,
PowerPoint
right?
we already have, sir. He already sent.
Okay,
to us.
okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much. We look forward to collaborating with you, Professor Joeli Veitayaki. Yeah,
thank you so
I'll be in
much,
touch
Dr.
with you.
Pasek.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Director
Thank you.
General.
Have a good day. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Have-
Thank you to
Thank you, thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Can we have a group photo? Can we have a group photo?
Yeah, take a photo. Maybe
Okay, sir.
everyone turn on the camera, and so that CIRDAP can take a group photo. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Just a moment.
Are ready, everybody? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Another one. Just
Just a moment. Just a moment. Okay.
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 Wait.
Okay.
okay.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye,
Thank
sir.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Back to-
Moabe,
Thank you.
Moabe,
Dr.
Moabe
Cherdas,
Hussein.
we are
Bye.
fine.
Bye. Bye.
Korean,
Bye.
Joeli, thank you.
Vinaka Hussein.
Thank you, sir.